number. Yeah. Alright, so what were we looking at last time? What did we talk about last time? You can go through a lot.
Very stage.
Huh? And what did you say about that?
Best way is owned by the government or organization.
So what happened? What happened last time? Were you there for class? What was the problem? Yes. Okay, great. What else did we talk about? What were they? What were the differences between community networks and community development?
The government provide, they just provide social services without involving.
So the government that is leading the
Project.
yes, the project.
All the community engagement who are involved, starting from
The ones leading. So the involved starting from implementation till the end. What else?
community relationship, okay?
The relationship?
Yeah.
What about it?
People, they make complicated, they do it like maybe 16 better. So they make this tax, the bond of the tax.
And the difference between community based
Commit a first break.
So you're comparing and contrasting.
With it will be like if
Good morning, madam. Good morning. Were we together last time? What happened? We missed your presence. What happened? What has changed? What's your name?
I left the house.
Nothing. Right. So you talk to your colleagues to catch up, right? So what else did you talk about? Was it only that?
You said that I still had a little I'm sure it's
So rather those are let me check for the proper way. Not the types, but rather the participatory principles.
yes, it means
Okay. So what was it?
and then I was but still I grew up in school. Never grew up in
So so there was participatory real RRR and PRA. So under this one, there are several. What were they?
nothing. Writing. Program tree analysis.
The other one is discussion.
Program tree analysis.
Yes, this one. And diagram. So what else did you talk about?
Why is it important?
That's it, right? Okay, for today we're going to look at culture and community development. Culture and community development. After that, we'll go through community economic development as a community-centered process. So we're going to look at the types of community capital. The types of community capital. So what do we understand by the term culture? What is culture?
Okay, wait, people with from generation
The way people what?
lives in a community.
The way people relate to each other, the way they live.
With that type of individual generation.
Okay, so another definition is that the more comprehensive definition of culture is the quality of enlightenment and refinement arising from acquaintance with and concern for what is regarded as excellent. So what is regarded as excellent in manners or excellent in arts and the sum total of ways of living built up as a group of human beings. So whatever thing you regard as excellent, you sum it up and you say that this is how as humans we're supposed to live according to our culture. And that culture is transmitted from one generation to another. So this definition has several components that we can look at. For the quality of enlightenment and refinement. So people have different cultures. So they refine their cultures based on their values or their beliefs. So the quality of whatever value you believe in, you refine something according to that. You refine it because you are acquainted with a group of people, or you are associated with a group of people, and you are concerned for what is regarded as excellent. So because you're associated with a group of people, you think you have to refine yourself to a certain standard. A standard can be in manners or in arts or in any other thing. And then those types of standards in different areas, you sum them up to define how you believe in as a group of people. And that way of living, you transmit it from one generation to the next. So that's culture. So culture depends on who you're associated with, your background, where you're coming from, your values, your attitudes, your preferences, your knowledge. So a person can be described as cultured or uncultured. So culture is one of the main pillars of development and sustenance of communities. And no society can progress in its absence. So no society can progress without culture. Culture is always going to have an impact on how you develop as a community. So culture can also be defined as the identity where common values, attitudes, preferences, knowledge are attributed to the behavior in a particular group and has a positive influence on social development in any given country. So, for example, traditional ceremonies or celebrations are some of the core aspects of any culture. So, whether it is a wedding, a harvest festival, a religious holiday, or a national observance, our celebrations are woven tightly into our overall cultural identity. So celebrating our traditions offers an excellent opportunity for intercultural exchange and understanding. So for example, as Christians, I'm not sure if you're all Christians, but I'm Christian. So according to me, for example, as a Christian, you may believe in Christmas. So Christmas is associated with a time of giving, associated with a time of kindness. So that's like culture that is having a positive influence on community economic development. Because you might say voluntarily, as a church, we go out and distribute gifts to those people who are not well to do. Or you might choose to do something constructive, anything. So that's like culture is having an impact on development. So the same way, culture can have an impact on development in a positive way, you can also have a negative impact. So different cultures can affect economic development differently. So the quality of our lives depends to a great extent on our being able to take part in and benefit from our culture. So we know instinctively, with no explanation, that maintaining a connection with the unique character of our historic and natural environments, with the language, the music, the arts, the literature, is fundamental, is very important for our unity by providing a sense of who we are. So for us to be connected, for us to know our language, know the music or history of our life, of our background in our community is very important for building bonds in that community. And those bonds, how connected we are in that community, affect the economic development. So there is an intrinsic value of culture as a society. Irrespective of its place in the Human Development Index, culture makes it a prerequisite consideration for any development. So for any development, you have to consider the culture that is there. Like if you want to build something here, what is the culture around here? For example, if you're promoting education or you're promoting diversified food intake somewhere like Mongolia. So you have to make sure you know the culture, what they eat, what they don't eat. You cannot be saying to go back to diversify our nutrition when people there consider it as a taboo. So the project or the development may not work. So you have to consider culture for any development projects. So people often agree that economic growth will take more than an infusion of investment capital, more than an import of latest technology, even more than dependable political economic institutions. So you have to make sure that you're considering culture in your development. Because culture is a very powerful tool, a powerful driver for development, with community-wide socio-economic and environmental impacts. So culture can affect people's lifestyle, individual behavior, consumption patterns, values related to environmental stewardship, or our interaction with the natural environment. So if development can be regarded as the enhancement of our living standards, then efforts geared to development cannot ignore culture. And interventions that are responsive to the cultural context and the participants of a place and community, a human-centered approach to development are most effective and likely to yield sustainable, inclusive, equitable outcomes. So, what are some of the ways we think culture can have an impact on economic development? What are some of the examples or roles of culture that you think? Do you think culture can have an impact in creating jobs? Or reducing poverty? Or preserving natural resources, such as forests? Or strengthening the resilience of communities when disasters strike? So, can you explain more about this? Any ideas?
You can, okay, maybe, yeah, you have a page where maybe you are sounding like this. You can look for that. You should not. We should avoid unnecessary pushing fires. Maybe if you go to the police, say, people that fire, you have to put a lot of it to note that everyone who is there in the forest is mentioned because if you should not cut the trees, if you find the tree dry or they are falling, you should just be the tree instead of cutting it down.
Yeah. So over time, I think we've been seeing that from primary school, do not cut trees, prevent deforestation. So that's one thing that has been put in our minds over time, and we see that it's very important for us to take care of our environment. So now people are cultivating the culture of kind of having all sorts of things in their homes. So that's one way in which culture can have an impact. Because before that, people would just cut down trees, get the fire off they go, as long as they're good. They will not think about the future. But with the culture of planting trees, that we have a national tree planting day, right? Yes. So such things are very important. They can influence economic development because if you're promoting taking care of natural resources, you can find means of making money through those natural resources. So even politically, culture plays a natural part in a development policy that is serious about human rights. A free and cultural sector will promote other rights and values such as freedom of expression, diversity, and debate about needs in society. So culture ensures unity during crisis, influences identity, debate, and dialogue. So, for example, in the political sense, one of the cultures is that, for example, in Malawi, women are supposed to be submissive, keeping quiet, you listen to the head of the household, and the head of the household usually is the man. So that's one example of culture where it may not work very well. So there is need to make sure that we change the mindset of people. We try and change the mindset of people to make sure that democracy in a place or in a household or in a community, that women's voices, men's voices are both being heard. Otherwise, your development work will not work. So culture lays the foundation for other political rights and is equally important in modern democracy. So the modern democracy that we have is an extension of what our forefathers or rulers established. The whole process of organization of states during and after the colonization would have been easy were it not for prior existing structures. So Rwanda is one of the countries where they have great cultural traditions. It is needless to say that our tremendous efforts and achievements to date have been greatly influenced by culture of self-determination, unity, common purpose. So back in the days, Rwanda was not doing very well, but now at least they're prospering. Why? Because of their culture of hard work, self-determination, unity, common purpose. So as you can see, culture is very important for any development work. So let us look at some specific points on the importance of culture. So the first one, improve learning and valuable skills for the future. So for example, in children and youth, participation in culture helps develop thinking skills, builds self-esteem, and improves resilience, all of which enhance educational outcomes. So students from low-income families who take part in arts activities at school are 3 times more likely to get a degree than those who do not. So for example, if there's a part of taking part in art activities, so there was a study where they were seeing whether students taking part in art activities and those who do not take part, whether there's a difference. So the difference was those who take part in arts activities were more likely to get a degree than those who do not, even though they were coming from a low income family. So this just says that an integration of art across the curriculum has shown consistently higher average reading and mathematical scores. So in that study, it showed that people who were taking part in the arts had better mathematical scores. So that's just one example where culture and the values you're learning from culture can help enhance the education, because you're learning some valuable skill, you're appreciating your background, and so therefore, in the end, you're also developing in your skills in work and education. And the other one is better health and well-being. So participation in cultural celebrations or cultural activities contributes to healthier populations in several ways. So creativity and cultural engagement have been shown to improve both mental and physical health. So, for example, if you are participating in celebrations that are happening in our community, most likely you're going to get rid of whatever stress you're having. You're going to have a healthier and better living standards as people. So participation in culture as a community also helps to bring people together, to bring out their creative sides and improve on their more mental and physical health. So a growing body of research also demonstrates that arts or culture can improve the health and well-being of older adults. So participation can relieve isolation and promote identity formation and intercultural understanding. So another way culture can contribute to economic development is through job creation. Job creation. So, Punjab, most likely, people are able to advertise in cultures, and people go, they create centers. People go and see Mina and Hama Kalina, or they go and see the history, a few museums, of which Colombo is not very common, but I think it's there. I think somewhere in Chipawala, it's a museum, but you can go and learn about culture and science. And also in London, I think we have a museum. Do you have any other museums? However, what happened there?
There and people were able to and others were bringing the we are like waiting, but everything continue today. Yeah, the museum is other they are following change steps. Yeah, because I think we in the math way of the are paying we use this.
So that's one way in which culture can contribute to job creation. You can set up a center where you're showcasing the various cultures that you have in that community, the various traditions or the historical background. So there can be economic opportunities created by culture through those museums. So a transition of economies from the industrial model and based on physical labor to a new model in which knowledge and creativity drive productivity and growth. So knowledge-based economies favor ideas to stimulate innovation, and they develop specialized services and highly customized products to create value. So information, technology, and learning can be used in a way to foster your cultural traditions to create jobs. So another contribution is to tourism. So culture makes a significant contribution to the tourism industry. There are significant opportunities to grow cultural tourism through marketing cultural heritages as assets. For instance, music tourism and traditional celebrations can be showcased, and local talents can be showcased, which can contribute to tourism. So the benefits of culture can be for the whole society or for the whole community in general. And culture helps build social capital, the glue that holds communities together. So there can be many contributions of culture to economic development. But we have to make sure that those contributions are working positively. Any questions so far? All right, let us go on to look at community economic development as a community-centered process. Yeah, that's one very big contribution. It's unfortunate, but now you don't really make use of our cultural tradition. Often we favor those Western traditions. So slowly, I think our cultures are being diluted. Because if you were to be serious and take things seriously, we can set ourselves uniquely and benefit greatly from our cultures. So as you can see, community economic development is an important tool for placing people revitalization or development. And community economic development, CED, encompasses a range of activities, institutions, policies, and it seeks to improve the quality of life. It seeks to improve the quality of life for low-income people. So community economic development can be viewed as a process and can have several steps to it. But however, for you to have community economic development, that means you're having some assets or some capital in that community that help you to develop. So those assets can be in terms of human capital, social networks, natural resources, cultural traditions, and community leadership. So another term that we have apart from CED is CEDI, which is the Community Economic Development Institution. So for you to have your community economic development, there has to be some community economic development institutions. So CEDIs are used to reflect the great range of locally based organizations involved in community economic development. So example of CEDIs are, for example, community colleges and community development corporations. So these types of institutions are typically community-based. And they're typically community-based, and their focus is to help the community in physical, social, and economic development. And they are also used to develop social capital, human capital, and improve on the quality of life in general. So community economic development cannot happen without community development. Both are so community economic development and community development are linked. So community economic development is under community development. So there are often different goals for either community development or CED, but the primary goal is the development of economically marginalized people and places. So we have looked at what a CEDI is, but I also mentioned that apart from the CEDI, there are community development corporations, which are the best known primary community economic development institutions. So for the CDCs, they are resident-controlled community corporations that overcome the dispute and real lack of organization in poor communities. So a CD can be defined as a non-profit organization controlled by the residents of the community, incorporated to provide programs, offer services, and engage in other activities that promote and support community development. And the CEDs can vary in size. They can be big as 500 people or more employees, or mid-sized as big as 200 or more people, and smaller sized as small as 10 people. So before the coming in of these CDCs to the mid-1960s, the voice of the less privileged communities was often overridden in the name of urban renewal. So people do not have a voice in how the development work of their communities was to be done, rather than just told the urban renewal. And because of this, communities started to act on their own. Because they were not consulted, they were just acted on. So they saw that as a community there was a problem. So we need to address this problem by making our own development corporations within the community, which are controlled by the people in the communities. So apart from those community development corporations came the community development intermediaries. These intermediaries arose to support the capacity building needs of community development corporations. So the major national community development intermediaries have proven effective not only in growing the capacity of local organizations, but also in becoming forces for quality assurance, so that the community economic development can argue for continued support from the public sector. So what we're seeing here is that as a community, there can be institutions to help with community economic development. And those institutions can be governed by the people in the community or not. So they can be CDCs or just CEDIs. Then those CDCs or CDIs can be helped by intermediaries. However, for you to have community economic development, as I already mentioned, there have to be some sort of assets in that community. Assets that can be saved or they can be invested in to promote economic development. So the assets can be of different categories. So it can be human capital, cultural capital, and so on and so forth. So let us look at the community capital or the community asset. Any questions so far? Have you heard of BDCs? BDC. Village Development Committee. Yeah, so that, for example, the seed village community development committees, community development, village development committees, which can be as examples of community development institutions or CDCs. So even here in Malawi, we have such institutions. And for you, if you have a project, if you are an engineer, for example, and you have a development project regarding anything from agricultural, you can go through the extension offices, but also you have to involve the VDCs, the village development committees. You have to involve the chiefs, the extension officers, even the village development committees. So that's the more local example of what can be described as community economic development institution or cooperation. All right, so community development. So as I was saying, every community possesses a variety of resources and characteristics that interact between and with each other. Working together, these characteristics and resources develop a synergy that allows a community to grow and prosper. The process of identifying and linking resources takes efforts, but the results can dramatically improve the economics of a community. So these assets can be tangible or intangible. Tangible assets can be examples like industrial parks, nature trails, or intangible can be norms related to helping one another, political influence of that community. So let's define capital on its own. So capital assets can be defined as anything or asset that can be invested, saved, or used up. For example, when a community has young people, for example, when in Malawi, they see that there are a lot of young people in the country. So that is a very good asset. But are we working to develop those young people? Or we're just leaving them at home doing nothing? So if a community has a lot of young people, that is a very rich resource for the future and invites their energy and motivation into local leadership that is investing in human capital. So if we have a lot of young people right now, if you're sending them to school, if you're teaching them on technical skills, that means we're investing in human capital. So that in future, as a country or as a community, we're better off. So what can be another example of assets in the community? And an obvious. Guys, we should talk. If we don't talk, then I don't know where we're at. No questions, no comments. Am I scared? Should I be smiling more? Oh, you don't know what we're doing here. That would make sense.
There are farms.
Yeah, land is a very good resource. And if you're using that land for farming, very good for that community, food security. Okay, for example, in a community, as I'm saying that there are a lot of young people. So that means even in the communities, there are a lot of young people in that communities. So what happens if there are no investments in those young people? We're not investing in human capital. What could be the result of that? Stealing. Yes, so the crime rate will increase. What else? Driving safety. She's the only one talking. She is the only one talking. Somebody else. If you're not trying now, where are you going to talk? If we're not talking now, we're talking now. When no one is being, when everybody's being stingy with their marks and stingy with their words. No, we should talk now. What happens if we're not investing in our communities, in our youth? No idea. Okay. Now continue. So as I was saying that according to the definition of capital, it can either be stored, used up, or saved. So for example, if the community foundation holds on to its money instead of investing it back into the community, then that means they have just saved it, they have not invested. In the long term, that money will not multiply. So according to the assets, the community should either be saving or investing. Using up an asset usually is not a very good idea for community economic development. So I've looked at capital in its one, but what is community capital? So this can be defined as a banked goodwill that helps build trust between various groups within the community. Banked goodwill that helps build trust between various groups within a community. And another definition for capital is any resource capable of producing additional resources. So one way of categorizing the community is according to the community capitals framework. Community capitals framework. So this categorizes the capitals into 7 categories. The first one is natural capital. So as the name suggests, includes all the aspects, natural aspects of the community, such as clean water, clean air, wildlife, parks, lakes, good soil, landscape. So, however, dependence on natural capital, specifically extraction of minerals, for example, in mining, to build the financial capital of the community can be problematic for rural communities. So you can use natural capital to grow the economy of the community. For example, if the community has mines, coal mines, those are very good for boosting the community economy. But in the end, if that natural capital is depleted, then what happens to the community development? It also goes down. So using up natural capital can be very problematic for a community. So a community has to have a balance on how they use their natural capitals. So for this to happen, they have to be knowledgeable. We have to train them. So we can train them on what the capital is, how to use it up, and use it up efficiently and sustainably for long-term use. So the other one is cultural capital. So the assets may include local beliefs, values, history, foods, festivals, cultural heritage, arts. I think we already talked much about this, but we can still add on that some of the community economic development efforts include community festivals, heritage events, and preservation and invention of town traditions. These investments show a community's determination to share a common tradition or ethnic heritage. When the community makes investments into its culture, it can help them, for example, increasing their financial or increasing their social capital. So one investing in one capital asset, cultural asset, can also help in investing in another asset, which is social capital. But however, one thing to take note of in investing in cultural capital is that you're balancing the different cultures of that community. For example, if the community involves different ethnic or backgrounds, Chewa, the Kumbuka, and you having traditional celebrating Ajewa Wambi, then that means having a balance between the two. And as such, it can cause a divide in the community. So if there are any traditional celebrations that are going to be happening, we have to show a balance between any two cultures in that community, or any two backgrounds, ethnics in that community. Another one is human capital. So what is human capital? Human capital is any investment that adds to the health, education, and well-being and self-esteem of people. So this can refer to skills, knowledge, and experience. So these skills, knowledge, experience that are possessed by an individual or a population can be viewed in terms of their values or cost to an organization. So a person can have their own values, but they can be negative and detrimental to community economic development. So there is a need to invest in human capital so that the efforts or the skills that the person has or the knowledge that the person has are actually beneficial to the community economic development. And the need for building and sustaining human capital in rural communities is very crucial and important in third world countries. The current problem in many rural areas is the out-migration of young people. So if you're not investing in human capital and human communities, for instance, then one problem we're going to have is that a lot of people will be moving out of their rural communities to the urban communities to find jobs. But being rural setup is very important for economic development. Because if you look at where our food comes from, all our food, most of it comes from rural communities. So if people are moving outside of the rural areas, going into the urban areas in the future, our food security levels are going to be affected. So there is need to invest in, for example, young people, so that in future migration of people lessens, and there is a balance between the rural and urban areas. So there are some government efforts or some neoliberal solutions which can be articulated by politicians. So these neoliberal solutions are usually contemporary, or they are focused on markets or market-oriented policies, which are not strongly rooted in the development of the community. So efforts to improve rural communities should be strongly rooted for those people, not just for the interest of whoever is doing that development. So one way which people can invest in human capital is by building schools. Schools are very good technical colleges or primary or secondary schools. They can be a very good way of investing in human capital. But usually, of course, there are schools, primary, secondary schools. But what happens after? After that, people start looking for investment opportunities. So aside from investing in schools, but it's also very important to invest in skills so that people, after schooling, they're able to go on their own and start something. So another example, another type of capital is social capital. So what did we say is social capital? What is social capital? It will be listening. What is social capital? Yeah, the social networks. The social networks in a community. Do you think that this is important for people to be networks, for people to be knowing each other? Do you think it's important for development? An example, scenario.
Someone needs to share ideas so that changes can improve.
Yeah, so social capital can promote sharing of skills, sharing of ideas. Somebody half bread is better than that. No, the problem shared is what? Half is what? Half solved. Yes. So a problem shared is half solved. Similarly, in a community, if people are working together and sharing the problems, they can eventually also share solutions. Even you as individuals, I'm pretty sure you have somebody where you're able to talk to, able to share ideas. So similarly, in a community, in a larger perspective, it's very good for people to know each other. Or even in this classroom. Where you do your classroom, you don't talk to anybody, you go back. Then in the end, you don't have anybody to ask if somebody will bother you. You're missed somewhere. You have nobody to ask. Or in a class in a you did attend. Then it will be problematic for you. But if you have social capital, if you are well connected with your peers and other people, then surely, even as a person, you're able to develop on your own. So social capital is one important area of investment that impacts how people, groups, and organizations get along. Examples include leadership, training, working together, and the sense of a shared future, having a sense of a shared future. So when people know each other, when people have social networks, they have bonding. So bonding is a significant predictor of taking civic action. So if you're well knowledgeable about each other, for example, human needs, usually people, how you is. If you ask Buddha, how would I live? They'll tell you, nothing, or this and that. Because everybody knows everybody. And that's very good. Even Yamaka in our communities, of course, there are people that will come Uganda, but it's very good to know our neighbors. Who are they? Because if something happens, then where do you go? Weka. But nobody's over you. No. We have to know our friends, our neighbors, even in the communities that we're living in. Because if we know each other, then if there's a problem in that community, then we're able to make civic action, then we're able to make development works. So people who associate with their neighbors and trust their neighbors are more likely to take action when controlling for other variables. Social networks do make a difference in community action. So social networks are extremely important in most communities' economic development efforts. And the other one is political capital. Political capital. So this is a measure of social engagement. A measure of social engagement. Communities should allow all groups to have opportunities for leadership and engagement, and to have a voice in public issues. So political capital is about having a voice, democracy, engagement, participation of the people in that development works. How free are the people in that community able to communicate with each other? If there's somebody who has too much power, or everybody can take a vote on anything. So it also refers to a community's ability to access public resources or impact the rules and regulations that affect its day-to-day functioning. It is often mediated through elected leaders and officials, but there are others in the community who may hold more power, such as an elderly person in that community. So someone who has lived in the community their entire life, whether or not whether they're poor or not, they may have the capacity to make or break things in that community. So, for example, if we are having a community has leaders of their chiefs. Those are people in power. But that does not mean that they have to misuse their power. That power is only there to help serve the community, to help serve the people for representation. So political capital is very important. Leadership is very important so that in the end, as a community, you're having one voice through your leadership. So community groups that are working to employ change need to have political empowerment, even though this may be difficult to negotiate with local government powers. If the community group has this political clout, they are then able to mobilize resources in the way of community economic development. So what this may mean for small communities is that community economic development group needs to engage those in town who already have the political power and control over decision making, so that others in the community will want to get on board and work towards community success. In this way, local people are making an investment in the community's capital, political capital, to make an impact on economic development efforts. So obviously, one person or group should not make all decisions for everyone in the community. But it is very important that the community recognizes all of its political powers or political players. So if there is a development project in your community and that project seems not to be going anywhere, then you can check with the leaders in those communities because they have the power to influence their people. So one way that political capital is very important is the influence that people in power or leaders can have in the people. And it's very good to engage with the leaders in the community for any development works. So the other one is built capital or physical capital. So as the name suggests, physical infrastructure, this includes all human infrastructure, such as water systems, sewers, machinery, roads, electronic communication, buildings, and housing. Built capital is often the focus of community development efforts. All infrastructure, technologies, and processes make minimum use of natural resources and maximum use of innovation and skills. So most development works or projects, the focus is on improving the infrastructure in that community. But for you to do that, that means you have to make use of human capital and the natural capital. And this is very important. Youth capital is very important for the community economic development. For example, a community that is organized, for example, all communities are some most rural communities, but there are some communities that are well organized. For example, there are some they take their whatever they're farming, like soybeans, and they process and sell it. Because in that community, another then much better chances of them developing economically than for communities that just everybody just farms and sells their produce. So all in all these assets or capital, they work hand in hand. You cannot have one without the other. And the last one is financial capital. So this includes forms of money used to increase capacity of the units that access it. This includes savings, investment capital, debt capital, tax revenue, and grants. So this one is very important for any aspect of life. For you to wear clothes, for you to eat, for you to be warm, there has to be some financial capital. So similarly, for people to put out a container gym, they have to buy oils, they have to buy shovels. So financial capital is very important. And a community can have financial capital. They can raise funds for a project work. And the lack of capital and access to financial capital can cause hindrances to community involvement efforts. So for a community to raise capital, they can either invest on their own, save on their own, or they can ask for a grant from organizations or governments that we would like to do this and that, and we have financed this much amount of money, but we need your help. Or they can have, the community can have community development credit union. And their goal is to help low-income residents living in a defined area to find work or housing or way to fund or to finance their small businesses. So often, community development credit unions are the only avenue for low-income members to obtain reasonably priced loans, financial education, and hustling. So most of these things are there outside in more developed countries. Kunogo tinazolera katina banking code, so those can give an example of how we can find financial capital. So for today, I want to just cover that much. Any questions? Nothing. Great. For the one did you do for the assignment today? Are we waiting for 12 a.m.? Yes. Alright, so I hope you have it by now. You can send it. You can through my WhatsApp or email address. Either is fine. You can send it through my WhatsApp or email address. But I prefer the email. If anything gets lost, emails are usually the easiest. Yeah? When you have a group, oh, my email? Okay. There you go. So, Kuni, how many are we in this class? 6, 7. At first it was 5. The number keeps increasing.
Yeah, yeah, I mean,